Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter. I am joined, as always, by a very controversial figure in my eyes. Maybe not by the community at large, but certainly in my eyes. Tim's here.
Thank you for having me.
What? You always do the nod, and I'm like, Tim, this is an audio podcast. Not everyone who listens to the show watches it on YouTube. People don't see you all the time.
And I keep telling you to tell me what audio means. You refuse.
I refuse on the grounds you should have learned that in like second grade. Damn it. That's my grounds for refusal. Alright, so we're a horror movie podcast. We talk about horror films every week. We get together, we watch a movie, we talk about the movie. This episode's film is a Thai film, as in from Thailand, and it is called The Pool. So we'll be diving into that. We'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers. I know, I didn't mean that. Yes, I'm very witty. I know. Sometimes I shock even myself. But we'll be diving into The Pool. We'll give you a warning for spoilers somewhere in the middle. We'll start spoiler free, of course. So let's talk about The Pool. The Pool is a Crocodile film.
Yeah.
It's also a swimming pool movie. It's a swimming pool. The swimming pool genre has not had maybe enough films as of late, and I feel like this movie is doing a lot for swimming pool awareness, so that we know just that swimming pools exist and how both pleasurable and dangerous they can be.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
Yes. There's also a crocodile. Just FYI.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
All right, okay. So, the premise of the film is that the main character, whose name is Day, he is he's like an assistant on this ad that's being shot in this pool. They're doing some underwater stuff. The pool's being decommissioned soon after. His friend who kind of got him this gig owns the pool, I think that's what I got from it anyway. And he's away, and Day is just sort of sauntering in the pool. He's on a little, inflatable, what do we call it?
Raft.
Not raft. Those little inflatable bed things you get in the pool.
Yeah. We usually call them an inflatable raft, or I don't know, like a floaty or something.
Do you really call them a raft? I never realized you called them a raft. That's interesting. Floaty bed.
I mean, as far as I know, I'm no connoisseur. If people want to correct me if they have some scientific term, let us know. But
wait, are you telling me that you do Jaws giving every year, and yet you're not 100% sure on the paraphernalia that one uses when enjoying the water? Seriously, Tim, come on.
Jaws giving is a labor of love. It's not a dry academic course. We're not...
But anyway, he falls asleep, and little does he know that while he's falling asleep, the water is starting to drain through this big drain pipe at the bottom. And when he wakes up, the water level is actually now too low for him to reach the edge of the water to get up to the surface. And he tries desperately, and to no avail.
And it's very important to note that it's not like, I don't know, like when you think of pools, you probably like most are probably like 8-9 feet at the deepest. Like it's not like that. This is like a big pool.
Well, yeah, it's a diving pool, so it's it's a good 20 feet or something with that. So I guess to the point where he's maybe just 9 feet from the top, and he can't quite get there. And the water, of course, drains. And unfortunately for him, a crocodile from a local zoo or something has escaped. It's on the loose, and it makes its way to the pool. So he ends up being trapped down there with a crocodile, and that is the premise of the movie in a nutshell. There's not much more you can say. That's it. If you're going to watch it, you're going to watch it based on those last few sentences. So yeah. So Tim, Timberoo, Timothy.
Yo.
How did you feel about The Pool?
I gotta say, this is my absolute favorite movie from Pizza Hut.
Wait, Tim, are you suggesting that Pizza Hut had product placement in this film?
I mean, it literally says like lists Pizza Hut as one of the producers in the opening credits. It's very interesting. No, I actually really do like this movie. It is stressful as hell. Like it is one of those movies because it's like a survival movie, and sometimes those have to be they're kind of hard to get through, and it's one of those things where like it just keeps getting worse and worse, and every time he gets like a little inch of like, oh, maybe you can use this or that, it's like pulled away from him, and then something happens to make it like 10 times worse. And there's actually a lot of very like body harm in this. It's very upsetting to watch. But I mean, I think that all that still makes it entertaining as hell. I mean, it's going to be hard not to mention the CGI work on the crocodile, which maybe is not up to par with, some movies nowadays. I think like
it's not always great. Sometimes it's practical though, which is looks better. I want to interrupt you because I got a notification on my phone here. He streams after midnight, so at Streams Midnight is our Twitter, and there was a like on it just a second ago, alerting to me to the fact, because obviously both me and Tim can post from this account, so sometimes Tim will post something and I won't realise he's done so until someone likes it or retweets it or so and so on. And so I check my phone just as Tim's giving his opinion, as I sometimes do, and the tweet that I did not know was put here, presumably right before we started recording. Let me look at the time here. It was actually a good 45 minutes, so I mean it was there for a little while before we started. But it says, going into our reviews today, should I let Pete get away with his bullshit like usual, or should I slay his ass, in all caps? There's 4 votes in the poll right now. All 4 unanimously saying slay his ass. So I'm looking forward to the slaying that is going to happen. I'm glad you're laughing at your own tweet, Tim. I'm glad you're enjoying this so much.
Oh, I don't know if people understand, but like part of the fun of it is like waiting to see when you're gonna notice it. Because sometimes it'll be like half a day later or something, and then I'll just see a tweet being like, "What the hell is this?"
And sometimes it's during the recording, and you get this beautiful moment. Okay, so you're talking about the pool.
People in the future will know if I properly slayed your ass or not.
Yes. I've got a feeling I know the answer to that question. So yes, the pool. You were saying it was Ted's, and every time he gets an inch. Something bad happens.
It's just one of those things where it's just like, bad upon bad, which, I can actually see this maybe being like too hard for some people to watch, because it is like, it is anxiety inducing if you like, really emphasize with the main character. But again, that all like makes it like, I think pretty entertaining to watch. And, it's one of those things where, it starts off right away. It's a very simple premise, but like, they milk a lot out of it, I feel like. So, it's not perfect. Like, sometimes, the effects aren't the best and whatnot. But, no, I think it is a pretty fun movie, though.
Yeah, worth mentioning as well, we are counting this as 2019. It was released in Thailand in 2018, but it became available to everywhere else, basically, in 2019. So we're going to count it for the sake of our, top 10s. If it's going to make it, it might, it's eligible, is what we're saying. That's
and I will say that too, the ending really bumps me out.
I know which part of the ending you don't like. We'll talk about that, spoilers.
It is kind of funny, but also kind of depressing.
Yeah. So my thoughts on the movie are almost complex. So I will say that
as a child you were left in a pool for 7 days, so it's a little hard to watch.
So I enjoyed the film. I will say I was entertained and I had a very pleasant time watching it. I will say though, I will say that I don't necessarily think it's because it's good per se, because like you were talking about how every time he gets an inch something bad happens. Like you keep thinking he's got this vine, there's like an olive branch, and then it something rips the olive branch away, or like I started laughing at how ridiculous this movie was, because it kept doing these things that were so contrived to give it like a moment of hope, and then even more contrived to take the hope away every single time, and it kept compounding to the point where I started laughing. There's a moment where something's in the alligator's, or not the alligator, the crocodile. There's a moment where something's in the crocodile's mouth, and I just started laughing out loud because of course that's where it is. Of course it's just sitting in the crocodile's mouth. And it was almost an absurd comedy to me how ridiculous it was. And it does have some tropes in it that I feel like we kind of left in the 90s. It's almost, and I don't want to say, you know, Thailand are like 20 years behind in movie making, because that's a very insulting thing to say. But I felt this way when I was watching, me and Tara on the Ace did The Wandering Earth. It was this big budget Chinese sci-fi movie, right?
Where, I heard about that.
Yeah, that, you know, Earth is like, because the sun's dying, that they're actually like rocketing Earth through space to, you know, find a new home. Like, it's the whole thing. But like, one of the things that we talked about a lot in that was how a lot of the tropes, I mean, there's a lot of like the effects and stuff felt modern, but a lot of the tropes felt like it was from like a mid-2000s movie. And it was how maybe just culturally that's where, you know, movie making China is right now. And I almost feel like a similar thing here with Thailand, where there's a lot of the tropes in this where I felt like, oh, this feels like a 90s movie. Like, I'm getting 90s movie vibes from this. Of course, that said, the crocodile looks much better in this than it would have done in the 90s. Like, obviously, that goes without saying. So, you know, just
I kind of feel like maybe, I don't know, to me, maybe I would say more like early 2000s or something, because it's like very gimmicky, and I feel like we're having like a lot of those, you know, like you know, just very premise heavy movies that would, like, you know, take place in one area or something. Or
it actually reminds me bizarrely more of disaster movies. Just in that way that things keep going wrong. You know, at its core, it's a survival movie, right? And I feel like things keep going wrong, and it kept reminding me of that. There is one really dark moment towards the end. I will say, if you were to guess how he might eventually get out, you would probably never guess how he actually does it. And that's the one thing. As much as I'm saying a lot of this feels like Hollywood stuff from the 90s and the 2000s, this is the one thing that a Hollywood movie would never put in a movie. Never.
And I think one of the things, like you mentioned too, like how it is kind of funny how things, like, you know, continuously get worse. I think what like adds to that too is like the musical sting whenever something bad happens. It is like a very like cheesy like.
Honestly, it became really funny to me just because of how absurd, like, all the things that kept going wrong were happening, and how it just kept getting worse and worse. Like, it started to be really funny to me, and I don't know if that's intentional or if I'm enjoying it in a way that wasn't intended, but like, either way, I did have fun. Like, I can't deny I was out enjoying myself. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, credit where credit is due. So yeah, it's like you say, Crocodile looks a little rough in some places where it's CG. Some of the practical crocodile stuff looks fine. And
it looks like it looks more like when there's like the bad CGI and stuff, it kind of looks like something you would see on like a TV, like sci-fi kind of movie or something.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
something like that level. Like it's definitely not horrible. Like you said, it's probably something you would have been a lot better than like in the 90s or something. And but yeah, I mean, I think especially, you know, if you compare it to something like Crawl, which had like, you know, I think for the most part usually pretty good, like, you know, CGI effects and stuff. It's a little less than that. But again, though, I think in this instance, some of the bad CGI, I think, kind of gives it like some charm.
Maybe, yeah. It is interesting. We have a big alligator and a big crocodile film to debate for 2019 list. I mean, obviously, the movie, like, it does a lot with little dialogue because he's mostly either on his own or, like, you know, no one to talk to kind of thing. And the setting, because it's very, you know, very plain, it's just an empty pool. It's a deep empty pool. There's not a whole lot going on, so it really like emphasizes a few key details that are going to become important later. And you know, some of those are kind of like obvious and in your face the way they're set up, and some of them aren't. But like I think one of my fun things with these types of survival movies is the idea of like, okay, we know this item's been left somewhere, and that maybe, just maybe, it'll come into play later, or maybe, just maybe, it'll get knocked into the pool, or maybe, you know, like, there's a lot of that going on in here, and I think that's part of the fun of this, is to see how these elements come in, because you find yourself kind of rooting for something to fall, even though some of it is absolutely absurd in how it does. I will say, there's a point in this movie where a phone is vibrating and it's moving like towards the edge of the pool, and this phone, like, the person ringing this phone is so patient, because no one ever lets a phone ring this long, but it's like zzz,
yeah, like I don't even know if like phones have the ability to do that. Like, I feel like after 3 rings, if I don't touch it, my phone just stops.
I don't know if it's quite that quick, but like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a limit where the phone will say, yeah, there's no answer happening, just accept it. Admittedly, it's probably a setting on your phone, actually. You could probably set what the timeout is on a ring. So I you know, there's some silly things. I ultimately, it is quite exciting though. It is kind of, I was finding myself getting into it and enjoying it, even though it's absurd. And I think if you want kind of a more likable, but definitely a more dumb movie, I think this is, you know, a solid example of a good dumb movie.
Totally.
And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I genuinely enjoyed it. It's absurd. Like, it's full of absurd things.
I think it's a really easy movie to recommend it, because it's just like, if you hear the premise and it sounds good to you, I think you'll enjoy it.
Probably, yeah.
You know, because it's something that sounds like crazy enough that if it sounds good to you, then you're probably gonna like it, because it's probably that kind of crazy, that you're looking for. Yeah,
there's there's not even that. If you're someone who's put off by subtitles, there's not even that much dialogue, really.
That's true, yeah.
A lot of it is just shouting for help. So I mean, after you've read it once, you don't have to read it again. So there is that. There's obviously sometimes it's some things that are fun with world cinema is sometimes you get some cultural differences that you don't really expect going in. And there's not much here, but I will say I did not know that abortion was illegal in Thailand.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That was news to me. I'm not shocked by it, but I mean, it was definitely news. So that was one of those little moments where I was like, oh, interesting. I wonder if this movie has a political statement. And I'm not saying it does or it doesn't, because I think by the end we can talk about that more. But just from the first point that was brought up, I thought, I wonder if it's going to have a statement about that. Is this pro or anti-abortion for the sake of, its own country kind of thing? But ultimately, I don't think it is. I don't think it's actually trying to say anything.
Well, it's anti-crocodile for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the crocodile's a meanie. If I have one complaint, it's that about 2/3 or so through the movie, there was a point where I genuinely thought it had a twist. I thought it had like pulled a twist on me. That was like a big sort of deal, and then it just kind of 2 minutes later kind of went, oh no, there was no twist. Like, everything's still what you thought it was. So I was like, oh, okay, that was weird. But there was genuinely a moment where I thought it was trying to give me a twist, and I can't really say what it is until spoilers. But I was genuinely thinking that there was like a whole almost Sixth Sense-esque thing going on.
Yeah. Well, I was smart enough to know that wasn't what they were doing.
Here we go. Yeah, sure. The professor uses his brain. Of course. All right. So what? I guess we have to go into spoilers. I don't know if there's much more we can really say without getting into actual details, because it was,
sure.
I mean, performance, I guess the guy's all right, yeah. He's fine. Direction is, I mean, the direction's not bad, because the direction a lot over the top at times, but like keeps it engaging despite the fact that we're in one location.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of like it's a little subdued during the quiet times, and then it does like kick into a kind of like an action mode or whatever when stuff starts getting intense, which it maybe seems like a little cheesy, but again, like it's all part of this kind of fun, charming again, like you kind of want to say dumb, but like in a nice way, like it's not like a trying to be a super smart artsy movie or anything. It's just like, no, it's just a dumb, fun, like survival action kind of thing.
No, Twitter update here. So Tim also tweeted it on his own account right before the show. Pete notoriously tries to censor me talking about Star Wars, so I guess I got to bring the Star Wars to him. And he's got a photo of what I assume is a Star Wars. Is that Jar Jar Binks? Is that a Jar Jar shot?
Hell yeah, dude! Look at that.
The roller coaster of emotions. Also, I'm altering this poll. I'm going to vote. Not 100% anymore, biatch. All right. So that's quite a spoilers. So we'll do spoilers for the pool. Although before we start the spoiler section, I will thank our Patreon producers for the month: David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, and Tyler Hess. Thank you to you guys. They are patrons at the $20 or above tiers, and that makes them producers. You can support us, of course, over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You don't have to give us $20 or up. You can give us just $1 per month, and that'll get you access to an exclusive bonus episode every month. There's a back catalogue now of the past year. Well, it's not a year, but we did like 4 in October, so it's about 12 or so episodes that are available that you'll get access to for $1 a month, and you keep the show coming, and you support the content. So if you want to do that, you can go over and have a look. Plus there's voting rates at the $5 tier and other things higher up, and so on and so on. So there you go.
Jar Jar thanks you.
The amount of leprechaun shit I have to put up with, and they are bringing Jar Jar into the equation. Jesus. All right. So full spoilers for the pool. So I'm going to list all the things that go wrong in this movie because I want to tackle them, right?
Okay.
Hopefully I get them more or less in the right order. Mm-hmm. So, okay, it starts off not too bad. He's trying to climb up to the ledge. Mm-hmm. And
he kind of wakes up when the water has already started sinking, but it's not quite empty yet. So it's like maybe, I don't know, 1/3ish of the way down or something. It's
just enough that he can reach this little ledge that's in the side of the pool, but he can't go get from there to the top. Yeah. There's just no way to sort of climb. But so there's a moment where I was mentioning earlier where the phone's going, right, and it's near enough the edge, it's vibrating towards the edge, and he's like waiting to catch it. He's waiting to catch it.
Well, I think if I stop you right there, because I think maybe the first big thing that you might have, I think, already missed is as he's trying to.
What's that tone that you already missed? Am I being judged because I'm misremembering the order of events? Jesus.
Come on, it's not Rashomon. There is a very clear timeline here. Is when he's trying to climb, this really irks me even thinking about it, but he kind of snaps his fingernail.
Okay. In my defense, this is not a contrived thing. I was going to list all the ones that were kind of over the top and silly. This is just painfully grotesque because he rips his fingernail off by trying to climb. And he has to bite it off with his mouth. It's not nice.
It's tough.
It's pretty rough. But no, so the phone is vibrating towards the edge. But we should mention his dog, Lucky, who is chained up near the diving boards, and Lucky and barking at him to try and help or something. I don't know what the dog's doing. It's a dumb dog, but he almost falls in the pool, and he's sort of dangling off the edge, and he's clawing his way trying to stay up, and Day can still get high enough that he could push the dog up. He can still get to the bottom of the dog. So he has to make the choice to, instead of catching the phone, he has to go and save his dog. So he swims over, saves his dog, and of course, because of that, the phone falls in the water. So that's the first thing where here's a bit of hope. Here's the silly over-the-top thing that's going to get in the way. Now, admittedly, I can't be mean on this one because it was the first one, so it didn't feel that bad yet. And 2, this makes us like him because he puts his dog before himself, and it's impossible not to be endeared by that. So that is a fine choice. I will not critique that in any way, but it's the first of many. Now, is next up the pizza dude? Is he next?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Is Pizza Hut Man next? So Pizza Hut Man, because his buddy phoned him a pizza before he left, he comes by with a pizza, gets off his little moped, and we can clearly see the Pizza Hut logo on the back of his shirt. It's on the box, the whole thing's Pizza Hut, branded. And he's coming to the pool, I love the idea that the one like stipulation for funding this movie is that there has to be a pizza delivery scene in it so we can get our logo all over it.
Of course, yeah.
And also the pizza literally like saves his life by being the one piece of food that he can have for like 6 days. So pizza's important, guys. You need pizza.
Of course.
But as he arrives though, this is right at the time where Day's underwater. He's trying to like unlock the vent at the bottom and he can't because you know it's bolted down. It needs screws or it needs a screwdriver to, you know, open it. So the guy just leaves the pizza on the diving board and leaves. And of course, he sees him leaving, so he tries to yell for help. He tries to, you know.
And what's funny about this, and this probably is one of the first like big laughs from me, like in the movie, is you keep expecting, you know, because cutting back and forth between, you know, the pizza man and him underwater, and you kind of keep expecting, or at least like, you know, you want him to pop up just in enough time, you know, where the pizza guy will see him. But as he's about to go up, he has like a little like chain on his belt or whatever, or his jeans, that gets caught on the like grate at the end. And it's just funny the way it's shot is like, you know, it's like so dramatic that as soon as he tries to get up and you realize it's stuck, that's when it like, you know, gets into very like over the top like action mode, and then that's, you know, the music starts like getting very dramatic, like dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, the cuts get a lot quicker. Like everything kind of ramps up. So that's that. But the one that kind of made me laugh.
Horny? Oh.
Come on, Tim. Right. So his girlfriend, right? His girlfriend, who, you know, they seem to be madly in love at the start of the movie when we first see them together. She shows up at the pool, sees him on, because he's fallen asleep again. He's basically tired from all this trying to like rescue himself. So he goes onto the bed again and falls asleep in the water. And his girlfriend arrives and she's there and she's up at the edge of the pool. You know, she could call for help. She could do so many things. And first of all, she's too stupid to notice that the water level has dipped by about 8 feet, right? Yeah. It's not like it's just a foot or two. This is like 8 feet, maybe 10 feet by this point. And because earlier on, we knew that she wanted to dive in the pool when they were shooting the commercial, and she couldn't. She wasn't allowed to. So she's like, "Oh, I can dive in the pool. I'll wake him up by splashing in the pool." So she's up to the
actually, sorry, real quick, we didn't really talk about what the commercial is either.
Do you know what it was advertising? Because I don't know.
I have no idea, but it's like a woman dressed like a clown swimming underwater to a like little piece of furniture.
It's like a little sort of old-fashioned sofa that's mostly wood, but just with a little bit of cushion, which is important because that thing's down there still and will be used throughout the duration of the movie. But anyway,
that's why, like, I made a joke about it. I don't know if many people understood it, but like I just filmed like that little bit of her as a clown swimming, and I was like, oh, I'm finally getting around to watching Joker. But like I think people didn't understand that like wasn't Joker, because like I had like a lot of people being like, oh yeah, I love that movie, man, like, oh, it's so good. And I was like, no, you know, I'm not really watching it, right? Like, this is not a scene from the movie.
But anyway, so what I laughed at here, because this is the first one that felt so absurd to me, that like, okay, so his girlfriend's here, sure, that's him, fine now, right? She'll call for help, or even just find a ladder, like, you know, whatever,
right? Yeah,
right. But she goes up to the pool, and he just wakes up in time as she's going to run, because she's got a smile on her face. She doesn't think anything's wrong. She thinks everything's hunky-dory. And as she's running, he wakes up, sees that she's about to dive, and yells, "No, don't!" And because he yells at her, she slips and hits the back of her head off the edge of the diving board, which, I mean, at the time I think, did that just kill her right now? Is she just dead? Or whatever. So she falls in the pool now, unconscious. And he has to like save her and put her on the little floatable bed so that she can, like, you know, hopefully survive. And, you know, now they're both trapped in the pool. And I actually started laughing at just how like, this guy can't catch a break. This is the second time he's almost been rescued, almost had help, and he gets her almost killed. And equally trapped. It's the whole thing is just a comedy of errors. And
there are definitely like days where, like, you know, a lot of bad stuff happens and you're just like, it feels like nothing can go right. But this is like the most extreme example of like, Jesus, what did this guy do?
I know, what sort of karma is this guy getting? Unless this movie is genuinely anti-abortion and it's like, and it's really mad at him because he wanted her to get an abortion. I mean, he didn't even know she was pregnant. He finds that out soon. But earlier, at one point in the movie, there's a little flashback back to him and his friend where he says, oh, she's not, because for some reason his friends like, oh, there's a rumor she's pregnant. And he's like, he's not pregnant. Like, first of all, how is there a rumor she's pregnant? Like, how did that get out to anyone else before she tells him? Unless she's told like friends or whatever and they've spread it around, which is a shitty thing to do if they're, you know, you're her friends. But like, and he says, oh no, I'd want her to get an abortion. I can't have a kid. And we get like a little speech here where he's like, oh, that's immoral and it's illegal anyway, so you shouldn't do that. And so unless the movie's trying to say that he's got this bad karma because it's anti-abortion, you know, and I think we're both pro-abortion. It's worth mentioning just to make that clear.
I think the term is pro-life, but yeah, or pro-choice or whatever.
No, I'm pro-killing fetuses. So. Sorry, yes, pro-life, yes, pro-life. If anything, I think you should be able to have an abortion up till about the age of 4. I mean, I think at any point in that first 4 years, you could just, you know what, this wasn't for me. I'm back out. Cancel. Abort.
You're like 30 now? I think that's what the age should be.
You should just every new parent for the first 3 years should just have like a trap door in the living room, and if they decide, you know what, this wasn't for me, just press the button and just fall to the spikes. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, regardless what our stance is, I do think it is important that us as 2 men should be the ones that get to decide it. Look, I think that's what's important.
Yes, look, we're pro-choice, pro-life, all those things, right? It became very jokey in the last 30 seconds, but let's make it clear that is our stance on this. But I mean, there is a chance the movie, because it's made in Thailand, it's maybe like I don't really think it is making much of a statement. Like I think I'm stretching it to say that it's given him bad karma because he wanted an abortion, or he would theoretically want an abortion. But that you know, it's there.
If anything, it's probably bad karma that he didn't tip the pizza guy.
Oh yeah, he's too busy trapped in a pool with no money. Yeah. Shame on him for not tipping. Oh dear. Anyway,
I don't know if they tip in, because I know some other countries don't do tips. I don't know if
tipping here is not as much of a big thing. I mean, tipping delivery drivers is a little thing. Like, you know, I think the most common thing here is like, let's say it comes to $9.50, you hand them a 10 and say keep the change. But the thing is though, is most people here now pay online. They order online and pay by card, so there's no option to tip.
Yeah, like I do hate when like you know, because we get that a lot, but usually on the receipt there's like a line if you want to add a tip or whatever. But I hate when they don't give you that option, because most of the times I do like to, you know, leave a little something.
Generous Tim over here. It is worth mentioning the way people in the industry are paid. It does vary wildly country to country, and America actually relies upon people being tipped.
It's shitty.
Yeah. I think there is some people who like it if they work in a really posh restaurant and get tipped really well. They think the system's great, but everyone at the bottom of the ladder hates it for obvious reasons. Yeah, of course. But I mean, restaurant tipping is definitely a thing, but it's not as like the amounts we tip at a restaurant is nothing compared to what you expect to tip in the US. Like, you know, I'll hear stories of people tipping 15-20% in the US, if not more, and I'm like, what? Are you mad?
Like 15 is kind of like the standard, and then I like usually go like 20. You know, especially if it's like, you know, I mean, it might be hard if you're doing something that's like super expensive, because then that might be, you know, make a big difference. But like, yeah, you know, 15-20%.
I don't know if I actually agree that the price of the food should change the price of the tip.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, you know, if you usually go up 20%, but then like, you know, if you're getting something that's like $1,000, and then it's like, ooh, yeah, that might be a little harder to afford that. Maybe.
Oh, sure, yeah, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Because logically, the way I'm thinking about it is that, like, the amount of food should change the tip, because then you're carrying more plates. But if the one plate has like a $100 burger on it, like, I don't know why the server should get a bigger tip for that, if that makes sense. Maybe that's like a cheap cheapskate here, but like I'm just, I mean, I can't afford $100 burger. Let me make that clear.
Exactly.
I'm not the one doing this. I'm just, from a pure math perspective, I'm but yeah, it's a cultural thing. I have no idea if Thailand are tippers or not. If it's tipping's a big thing there, but I do want to be clear. In the UK, everyone is paid at least minimum wage. There's no accounting for tips in the wages.
Yeah.
Tips are bonuses, and that's it.
Sure.
I just don't want American listeners thinking I'm being like a dick here. Like it's not as much of a thing here. It is in a restaurant, but not a super big thing elsewhere. Anyway, yeah. So she's unconscious. They eventually fall asleep. They wake up when the pool's completely drained, and they're at the bottom. She's still unconscious. Of course, he's woken up, and it's actually after this that the crocodile. I keep saying alligator. The crocodile comes sauntering, and I think there's a natural expectation that the crocodile is going to come through the vent or the drain. And it never actually does. It actually just comes sauntering in from like above. Like it's actually not in the water. And this was actually the next thing that made me laugh, is how the crocodile gets in the pool, because the crocodile can't necessarily because the crocodile, if it wanted to, I mean, it would have to take a bit of a leap, and it'd be a bit of a foolish idea if it did that. It falls in the pool because it's going after the dog. It's going after Lucky, and Lucky's barking.
It's very intense.
Very intense. Dave's shouting up, Lucky, shut up, be quiet, boy, be quiet. Like, don't agitate him. Let the crocodile just wander off. And instead, Lucky, in a complete dick move, kicks like these like big pipe things as it's barking, and the crocodile, because it's kind of on one of them, they roll into the pool, and the crocodile is basically shoved into the pool by the dog. The dog saves himself and puts the crocodile with the humans. That is insanely funny to me. I don't know about anyone else, but I find that insanely funny.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, if you're in that situation, it's, you probably wouldn't be laughing, but like, in terms of the movie, it was very funny.
Look, this situation is so goddamn contrived. I am willing to bet you that it would never happen, all right?
Yeah, most likely.
I'm willing to bet you. And, then we have a bit of a standoff with the crocodile. There's a lot of, like, shooing at it and backing away. Yeah. The crocodile does go to sleep at multiple times. Like I said earlier, at one point, the duct tape, which luckily was thrown into the pool by the guy's friend at the start of the movie, he just threw it at him to sort of hit him. But luckily, he remembers the tape's in here. So okay, I'm going to use this tape to try and like essentially bandage up the girlfriend's head, because the back of her head's like busted open, and she's still passed out. So, but of course, unfortunately, where would this tape be? Of course, it's in the mouth of the sleeping crocodile. This was the point where this was almost no return for me in this being kind of an absurd comedy at this point, because why would the crocodile have that in his mouth? Or sorry, she, not his, her, because as we find out later, is a mummy crocodile.
Oh, right, yeah. No, yeah, it's it is very funny. Like it's you can't really take it too seriously or think too hard about it, because like you said, it is all very contrived. But again, I think that's what kind of makes it so absurd and entertaining.
No, I agree. It's fun. It's just, I think after Crawl was like, are we doing a serious crocodile movie, or are we doing something a bit more silly? And obviously once you get in the mood of silly, it's like, okay, fine, we're doing silly now, and it's gonna be fun. He does get the tape in the nick of time. The crocodile wakes up and snaps, just a split second after he pulls his hand out, of course. And as well as mentioned, he does get bit a bunch of times in this movie, especially towards the end. In fact, I do want actually, here's a legit complaint. For some reason, the movie opens with a quick scene from later in the movie. Like, it shows you him like fighting the crocodile and like him getting bit in the leg. And I don't really understand why this is at the start of the movie.
Like, I don't know.
if anything, it's like, why are you wasting the first shot of the crocodile for the opening scene where it could just be the actual entrance to the crocodile later could be the first time we see it. That could be more exciting, but we'd already seen it, so it was like, well, we've seen it already, so whatever. It feels like it doesn't accomplish anything to me, but I mean,
I don't know. I guess maybe just a kind of like, hey, here's what's in store, stick around kind of thing. But yeah,
but it's a movie. That's stupid. Like if you go to see a movie, you're there. You're in.
Yeah, I don't know. It is weird.
Yeah, a lot of TV shows do it in some episodes, but like with them, I almost feel like sometimes that's just to like pad out an extra minute by repeating a scene at the start to make up the runtime, because they have to have such an exact runtime. But this is a movie; it doesn't need to have an exact runtime. It can be a couple minutes shorter. It's fine.
Yeah.
Not that it needs to be short. I mean, it's only 90 minutes. It's a fine length. It's exactly the length it needs to be. But it's just, I don't know. It was just a weird thing to have at the start. But some more fun happens, of course. The girlfriend does wake up. I love her slow realization as there's a crocodile in front of them, of course. The crocodile does lay a nest of eggs. Of course, there's a point here where the dog, and at this point in the events in the movie do kind of like muddle together, so I don't know the order of them exactly, but at one point the dog actually gets to the pizza and he's eating a slice of pizza. Yeah. And this is like 2 days in or something like that, and Day's like, hey, come on, knock it down, share with his boy, and he doesn't do it, and he gets really mad at him. He's like, well, when we get out here, you're not sleeping in the bed, you're sleeping outside, you mutt, like, how dare you. Yeah. But the dog does actually give it down. He goes to the diving board and throws it down. He actually drops it in. And they ate cold pizza. 2-day-old cold pizza.
That's fine. I've eaten worse.
I bet you have. I bet you have. So they have that, but then the next thing they eat, like a day or two later, is they actually have a little plan. And I'll give the movie this. This was well played, because it looks like Day collapses. And by the drain, and the crocodile's like, oh, it's finally time, and the crocodile's going in. Oh, I guess that's my one question about the movie, is that crocodiles are so strong. Do they have to like would you even be able to fight one off, really? Like, if the crocodile really wants him, like, couldn't he just have him at any time, really?
Yeah, and like the the whatever you call, like, the force of their bite is like, I don't know the exact what you call, like, measurements or whatever.
Yeah, the
but
pressure.
Like, is it supposed to be like one of, like, the strongest, like, bites in the world or whatever? Like,
yeah, they kind of
animals.
They kind of treat it in this movie more like a dog bite, where okay, it's nasty, but like, yeah, you could got a fight out of it. Like, so I don't know.
I feel like maybe you'd be lucky, like, if it's 1 or 2 bites, maybe you could survive, but he gets bite like a shit, like a ton, The
plausibility is like out the window pretty quickly. But they actually do a thing. They have a little ruse where he's pretending to play sort of dead. The crocodile's coming in for his snack, but he gets up, and the girlfriend's like waiting at this point. This is the strongest we've seen her since she woke up, and they sort of like force it in the drain and put the couch over it, and they sit there, and it's like, okay, we trapped it. And then they cook the crocodile's eggs and eat crocodile eggs. They have enough straw to make a little fire, which they only have because the crocodile made a nest. Like, where the crocodile got the straw from, I mean, it's anyone's guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
I mean, whatever, it's fine. That's fine. So it was worth mentioning as well, through all of this, like, there's some exploration where he does get the drain off earlier on, because there's like a necklace the girlfriend has that's like got like an edge that he can use to unscrew it, and he goes down the pipe, and he
looks like she was just wearing like a razor blade around her neck.
It looks kind of like a razor blade. I'm going to assume it's not actually sharp. I'm going to assume it's more of a symbolic thing, but whatever. But he crawls to like a little water pump room that's at the end of the drain. Oh, yeah, sorry. Was it funny that I used the word that was the title of the other movie?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. But of course, once he gets in there, the vent at the top is padlocked and he can't get out. So they can kind of get there, but of course, the crocodile could be crawling in here as well, so it's very dangerous. This is important for later, because ultimately we get to the point where he takes the girlfriend through the vent to get to this room. Because there's a ladder in there at least, so even though they can't get out the top, she can kind of like hide up there. and he's going to try and like get out. There's a couple of close calls with some other stuff as well. There's like a drone that flies by at one point, and he tries to signal it, but it's not, because he thinks it's like a parachute or something, but it's actually just a drone with a parachute. So, not much comes of that, at least yet. We get some cruel near close calls later on with it, though, when he actually passes out in the pipe. And this is actually where I thought the movie was going to pull the twist. Because there's a point here where after he's put the girlfriend in the pump room, he goes to the other end of the pipe, because he's never been to the left, essentially. And he goes to the end, and there's a grate, and he's able to kick through it. He goes up top, and there's a great moment here actually, and this is a good little twist, and the camera conveniently avoided showing us this the whole movie, but this was really smart, because I was thinking, like, first of all, why is this second cover for the drain not screwed in like the other one? But minor plot hole, but whatever. He's able to push it up. He gets out. The daylight's pouring on him. He stands up, and then the little joke twist here is that he's just in the adjacent pool, which is just as deep, and he can't get anywhere else from here. Which is a really cool little funny twist. I did get a good cackle out of it, and I love how they made a point of avoiding showing us the whole time that there was two pools side by side. But it's not unbelievable either. It's a really common thing to have more than one pool for various reasons.
Especially with, like, I'm assuming this is some type of, I don't know, special pool that maybe they use for film shoots, or if it is like, diving pools that they use for practice, it would make sense that there's one. Yeah,
it looks like the one they were trapped in is the diving pool, and the other one's the general swimming pool, I would guess. But
the only thing that seems like kind of unlikely is that neither of these would have some type of ladder to get out of.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like most actual pools do have like a built-in sort of ladder. And when I say ladder, all I really mean is a series of ledges on one part, to climb up. Also, it's also very common for pools to have like a gradual shallow end that you can just walk up. Obviously, I'm not saying every pool does, but I was almost thinking that maybe that's what. Assuming this wasn't going to be like a cruel twist, that maybe the other pool would have the shallow end for kids, and that's how we'd get out.
I mean, like you said, though, cultural differences.
Yeah. I mean, does Thailand build its pools a little bit differently? I feel
they're very deep and don't have ladders.
Yeah, so I mean, it's whatever. But if you don't, it's one of those things though. Like, why doesn't Keanu Reeves just shoot the tires in the bus before it hits 50 miles an hour? Because then you'd have no movie, and that's why there's no ladder in the pool. Because then you'd have no movie. So, but as he crawls back out of the pipe, and he basically falls asleep in there, and it's during this where the two guys flying the drone, who are flying the drone again, and this is like day 6, it lands in the pool, and they're like, oh, we have to go down there, and it's like, well, we can't just jump down there, we can't get back up. They find a ladder, dangle the ladder down, and climb down, and our man's asleep the whole time, and he eventually kind of hears this, and he's kind of like yelling for help, and he gets out. They've left, but the ladder they left dangling via a rope is still there, so it's like it's time. And at this point as well, the pump room's starting to fill with water. So he's like, okay, I need to get to this ladder. And of course, this is where the crocodile comes back. And the crocodile's like between him and the ladder. And it's like, okay, this is kind of cool. This is like a face-off. Like, the villain of the movie is the crocodile. He's the hero. He has to get out of here so he can try and like save the girlfriend who's now like filling up with water and like, calling for help. And he tries to get past the crocodile. There's some biting going on. Yada yada yada. It's the whole thing, but when he's climbing up the ladder basically the poles that it's attached to start to fall, and the ladder falls down. So this is just another example of the movie being really cruel and be like, hey, you thought this was your savior? Nope, it's useless. Here you go. That's it. He does have at least the ladder falling in the thing, so I mean, he could climb up halfway maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure there's something you can do. If you get your girlfriend out there, and then you have, I don't know, you put the ladder on the furniture, and then one person gets on someone's shoulders. I don't know, like,
well,
something.
They try that at one point with just a couch, and she like she isn't quite able to reach. But maybe with the ladder now she could. But the problem is that she's now trapped in the thing, and the pipe's filling up with water because of the rain.
Yeah.
So you know, and then we get to the really dark moment, and again, the order of
And
stuff here starts to get more murky. But
and I forget if we already had the scene where the barbed wire falls in.
oh, I think this is after this, yeah, because this is after the ladder. Because like a strand of barbed wire from like one of the like fences like falls in, and he tries to climb up the barbed wire like a rope, and it is pretty painful looking, and he's bleeding and all the rest of it. Very desperate, and then again, so the way he eventually does get out. Although I should probably mention how he fights the crocodile, because he actually kills the crocodile first. So he gets bit a bunch of times on the leg and the chest. It's also worth mentioning that the crocodile goes after the girlfriend at one point when she's asleep, goes after her baby. Like actually goes under the she's got like a blanket on, and the crocodile tries to go under the blanket. It's kind of a weird moment, but anyway, so he gets bit a bunch of times, and he sticks like a piece of wood from like a leg from the couch into the mouth of the crocodile. Now the crocodile can't close its mouth anymore, and now that it's wedged open, he gets the bigger bit of wood and he stabs it in the throat until it dies. That's how he does it. But he also worth mentioning, before this though, he actually tries to take it on. Maybe the barbed wire was before the ladder, actually, because I think it's during this part where he wraps barbed wire around his fist as if he's going to like fight the
he just like is beating it on its head.
Yeah, he puts like a sheet of like a t-shirt or whatever around his fist and then wraps it in barbed wire, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty badass. Although again, the crocodile's so strong, I have like, there's no way you'd actually win this. This is just not possible. So you know, whatevs, but hey, it's fun. But the way he eventually gets out is that the dog barking and trying to warn him about the crocodile jumps into the pool, but he's still chained up by the collar. The dog snaps his own neck and is hanging there at the edge of the pool. And
Jesus.
It's so dark, and it's the sort of thing that a Hollywood movie would never put in the movie, and all I could think was, well, he can climb up that now. like he can climb up that chain. He can like, you know, get high enough to get to the dog and climb up. And there's a really sad part as well, as he's like climbing and he's actually like, you know, sort of like face to face with the dead dog, and it's like, this is so dark. This is such a cruel movie with how it like, you know, just beats him down with all this bad stuff constantly.
And it's funny because like earlier in the movie, I did, you know, actually have a sigh of relief, because I said, you know, when the crocodile was first like coming towards the dog, I'm like, oh no, you're gonna do that, you know, cheap Hollywood thing or like, you know, you kill the animal as like, you know, just to raise like the emotional stakes or whatever, but then the dog survives, and I'm always, you know, my first thing was like, oh, I'm so glad that they did that they didn't just, you know, decide to kill off the dog or whatever, and then but the end is like, oh no, never mind that. But
this might be one of the worst dog deaths in the history of cinema. This is this is up there.
I think the only thing that saves it from being like, you know, overly like too depressing is that it's like so over the top, you know, like it just kind of looks like a dangling Muppet, you know.
Oh yeah.
That at least you can kind of distance yourself from that. And also, I like to think that the dog knew what it was doing. Like it kind of like sacrificed himself.
Oh yeah. I thought that as well. Is the dog willingly sacrificed himself, and it kind of makes up for, I don't know, putting the crocodile in the pool in the first place.
Sure. Yeah.
Redemption. This was the dog's redemption, a willing sacrifice. So he gets up to the surface. He races over to. And actually, come to think of it, it was actually the girlfriend who kind of did this, because she was blowing the dog whistle, like because the water was like really great, and she started blowing the dog whistle for help. And the dog, that's what makes the dog actually jump. So she kind of killed his dog. Just FYI.
Well, he wanted to kill her baby, so she killed his dog.
Damn, this movie's dark. Yeah, although he seems to have come around to the baby over the course of the movie. I mean, it doesn't explicitly say it, but he seems to be, you know, for it by the end. Because his whole thing is that he thinks he's not a worldly father, and that's why he doesn't want a kid. But she kind of tries to convince him that he is. But you know, so he has to like try and pry open the grate, and it's believable that he can do it with a big pole in the side of it, you know, versus underneath it. And he eventually gets her out, but she's like underwater like properly for minutes at this point. And it does that trope, that cheesy like 90s 80s trope where she's like mouth to mouth, she's clearly dead, but then of course she wakes up and starts coughing up water, you know.
And I don't know if you mentioned it, but at this point it's like raining and like there's all the pool's like filling up with water and stuff. And
yeah, all he had to do was like block the drain and just wait for it to rain.
Yeah, just
enough.
wait for it. Yeah. Like I kept thinking that's how they were gonna get out. Is that once it kind of started raining a lot, that's like, okay, yeah, just kind of wait this out.
Yeah, just obviously the crocodile throws a wrench in that. Obviously, this is assuming there's no crocodile to fight, but
right.
Because if anything, they've probably got a better chance with the crocodile with no water, just because they can see it properly, and the crocodile can definitely swim faster than they can.
Oh, without a
doubt. So definitely, but anyway, the movie's fun. It actually ends really abruptly. As soon as she wakes up, they just kind of like he just kind of holds her, and it just sort of like it goes to like a still frame sketch of what's happening, and then we get the credits, and that's kind of it. I've kind of made fun of like some of the moments in it, but it is genuinely entertaining. Like I enjoyed it pretty much from start to finish. It is a really silly movie. Like there's a lot of silly things to make fun of, but like it is entertaining.
Yeah, like when you're talking about it, it does sound very silly and over the top, which it definitely is. But as you're watching it, it's really hard not to get caught up in it.
Yeah. So, I had fun. Like I say, maybe the director started going a bit nuts with the edits when things got a bit too actiony. But other than that, like it's solid enough directed. The two leads do a solid enough job, as best I can tell, it not being my native language. And the action's fun and kind of silly, and it's kind of exciting. So there you go. It's that's just kind of what you want from a big dumb movie. I feel like Hollywood's like not been able to make a good big dumb movie in a long time. Like when Hollywood goes dumb now, it just goes annoyingly dumb.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think it's still like, I don't know, it feels like very earnest. Like it feels like they're not, like a lot of times when you hear like a premise of like a big dumb thing like that, I feel like Hollywood, like, I don't know, plays into it too much or whatever, and it doesn't feel like genuine or earned. Like, this, even though it's kind of dumb and over the top, it still feels like, they're earnestly making a movie that, they're not being like tongue in cheek and going like, oh, isn't this stupid, but whatever.
It feels like they really like what they're making. And that goes a long way.
And I feel like a lot of these, like, there's a lot of movies like about people being trapped and stuff, like, like Buried or, I don't know, 27 Hours or something, or, a lot of like very gimmicky stuff where it's like, oh, like, here's this movie about this person trapped in this one room or in this one thing. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of times it doesn't really like ever get past that kind of, initial premise. Like it ends up being a little more boring than what you hope for. But I think this is like a good example of something that actually like lives up to it and finds a way to make it exciting and interesting throughout, instead of like 10 minutes in being like, all right, we get it, did this need to be a movie?
Yeah, that's fair. With all that said, Tim, what are you rating it?
I think I'll give it a pretty good score. I'll give it a 7. It's not perfect, but I don't know, I was entertained pretty much the whole way through. I wouldn't say it was really, maybe like, never really gets like uninteresting or slow or anything. And there's definitely plenty of things you can nitpick about it, like some of the CGI, and again the just being kind of over the top or whatever, but it all works together as a movie. And so like as long as you know what you're in for, I think it's pretty good, and it achieves what it sets out to do. So
that was a 7 you give it?
Yes. 7 crocodiles out of 10, 1 alligator, I don't know.
7 crocodiles and 2 alligators out of 10.
Yeah.
I will give I'll go 7.5. I'll go with that little extra nudge. I'm not going to quite call it great, but I agree, it does exactly what it wants to do, and it succeeds at what it wants to do, faults and all. So there you go. That is The Pool. If you've seen The Pool, you can let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. You can also, of course, support the show by rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. More people will find us that way, so that's a big help. As is liking, subscribing, dinging the bell on YouTube, all that stuff. Thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.